Hey everyone, it's Stacey with Nutrition Jobs here for another edition of Dietitian Career Success. I am delighted to bring you a very unique entrepreneur who I know that you will learn so much from. But beyond that, I think you're going to see a place for yourself. And I would like to welcome you to Chelsea Crawford. Hello, Chelsea.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are really excited to have you share with all of us all that you do. I want to just explain that you have this amazing business, and I've been attracted to your business because you are the epitome of an amazing entrepreneur. You have not one business, but two businesses. But the one we're going to talk about more today is your business called Tasty Escapes. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into it and what we can learn from it right now?
Yeah, so I create trips tailored for dietitians that really have this element of learning about the culture we're in through the food and through the history of food. So we, try to include really fun, unique experiences that most people would not do when they're traveling. But I also include the things that you just gotta see when you're there, even if it's non-food related. So it's a nice balance of both worlds. But even food related activities are always so fun. They're usually everyone's favorite, whether they're a dietitian or not, because it is really being able to feel like you're a part of that culture. You're really learning it. A lot of times our cooking classes were with someone who has lived in that country their whole life, who have generations of knowledge to share with us about their foods. So it is a really, really fun and unique experience. Plus, it's always great to be around other dietitians.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of the highlight here is that you have these adventures where you travel with dietitians and you offer these continuing education units. You are planning the trip, you are cultivating all of the experiences, you are really working really hard behind the scenes, before the scenes, like during the scenes, like you really create these amazing adventures. And I've just been watching your career over for quite a while now, and you've got some really great experiences for dietitians specifically. Well, I guess also for other healthcare professionals, but you specifically target the continuing education units that are available for registered dietitians. What's your next upcoming adventure?
Yes. So this fall, we go to Portugal. In October, we'll head off to Portugal. And I am currently still working on the next trip that I will announce probably in, 2 months. But yeah, I usually do about 2 to 3 trips a year. And so Portugal is our next one. We get to go, kind of travel throughout Portugal, go to some of the wineries and olive groves and really learn about the olive oil production process, and the different types of wine they have there, and some of the agricultural history that they have in some of the ancient sites there. So it's really nice mix of all sorts of things to do. It's going to be so much fun.
Chelsea, how did you get into this? How did you create this business? I think a lot of us, when we think about being an entrepreneur, we go into sort of the traditional entrepreneur areas. Maybe we're a nutrition writer, or we do media work, or maybe we are doing private practice, which you also do. How did you get into these tasty escapes?
Yeah, so I'm all about creating a world that you are excited about and a life you're excited about. And so during college, I worked as a travel agent for a little bit. And I've always, I love to travel. It is like what I think about all the time. For years, I have built very detailed trips. Sometimes I go on them, sometimes I don't. But I wanted to blend my world of nutrition and be able to spend more time with dietitians too, because as a private practice dietitian, I'm solo, usually working from home or even my office, but by myself. So I was missing that piece of being able to intertwine the culinary part of my life. When I go on trips, sometimes I go by myself places, sometimes I go with other people, but I always take the culinary classes or visit the coffee farms on my own. And so I was like, how cool would it be to have other people come with me and be able to do this as a business? I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So, I really kind of thought through and spent some time on how this business would work, would be the best things to like what would make me different and what would make it exciting for dietitians. So it really just was out of complete passion for travel and spending time learning about food and spending time with colleagues.
You know what you mentioned that made me think about like how I travel as well is that you were able to blend your expertise in nutrition, your expertise and interest in learning about food culture, how those combine with just looking at the land, the people, and how they eat. It's a really big part of understanding people and the world, which is the beauty of traveling. I know that every time I go someplace, I always like to go to a local grocery store, like see what they have, even if I'm in like another state, like just to see
Yes.
what are people eating, what's available for people to eat. And then like you like go to these food tours or even just go to, if you're going to a fun, fancy restaurant, just ask to see the kitchen. Like sometimes that's amazing. Or if they have a garden that they're supplying for the menu, like just being able to see that to get more connected as part of the whole experience. So I love that you've done that. Your amazing entrepreneurship skills, though, I think are off the charts. So maybe you can share with us and how we can all learn from you. What skills do you think that you have inherently or naturally or organically that have really helped you become this entrepreneur? And what skills have you been developing over time? I think that maybe that would help a lot of us learning from you.
Yeah. I think one thing to be a good entrepreneur is whatever you're doing, you need to have a lot of passion for it. That absolutely comes through in your business. And I feel like it is absolutely necessary for the success of it. So the passion, and also there is this just innate drive that I have. So when I have passion about something, I will do whatever it takes to have it work because it's what I want to achieve. It's what I know would make me happy. And so it's kind of whatever I need to put together, whatever that puzzle looks like. And I think one part of what really helps me that I was kind of just born with is that creative mindset. So I'm very creative. And so my mind is always coming up with ideas on what to do in my business, how to do it. And so I think that can be really helpful. What I've learned along the way is you have to learn to do things yourself. It's really hard. You can ask somebody for help, you can ask for guidance, but I think ultimately we all have to learn through our mistakes. There's going to be things that you do in your business that you regret. You're like, why did I do this? Wasn't the best. And you just learn from them. I think you just have to walk away and be like, okay, well, that wasn't great, but I'm not going to beat myself up for it. What can I learn from this and what can I improve? And just kind of be okay with not everything going according to plan.
Yeah. I think one thing that you mentioned is your creativity. I think all of us have some level of creativity. I mean, there's some that are off the charts and some that are just have like, a few strands of creativity. But I think that's important when you're running your own business to be able to constantly rethink what the path looks like to make money, because you're not just relying on the paycheck, which can sometimes you might get less excited about how to approach your work. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, having that creativity, finding new ways to do things, again, to make money in your business, in your venture, whether it's private practice or in this amazing venture that you've created, I think that's really helpful. My next question for you is more practical. So I'm always curious, like the day in the life of somebody in their entrepreneurship. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like? Maybe you can choose however you want to answer this, but I think just understanding like what your day looks like would be helpful.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, it does depend on which way I want to go with this. Because day to day looks different than when I'm really working on kind of one of my trips. Ultimately, when I'm kind of thinking about my trips, there's a lot of kind of resources that I use to find where I want to go. But I also include my own personal preferences, and I'm inspired by that to pick the destinations that I choose. One of the things that I love and think about when I'm building my trips is there's places I know everybody wants to go and it would be an easier sell. However, I know there's many places people have never thought about that if I show them what it looks like and get them excited, that they'll want to go and get to experience something that maybe many, many people never get to experience or see. And so that is part of what my day is kind of thinking about. Okay, I know these are traditional places. They have a lot of culinary aspects. What other places are there? And then I kind of spend a lot of time building out what routes we might take, what things we could do there, what that looks like, how many people can I bring to this place, and just pricing it all out and really figuring out, okay, how do I put this together? And so I'll usually do that with multiple places. And so it's a very time consuming process, but I love it. So that is part of what makes it so rewarding, is just I love every part of this business.
You know what? When you and I were talking, you were sharing what your beginning of the day, the middle of the day, and your end of your day was like. And I loved how you were always thinking about your client, always thinking about how you use the word to continue the magic, to make the magic, continue the magic, and just, float on the magic so that they're really having this great experience. And so you're very outwardly focused on how to make these trips great for everybody. After everybody's tucked into bed, you're back to planning, making sure that everyone's reservations are still okay, that the next adventure that's coming up, maybe a tour or a meal or whatever adventure they're going to be having for the next day, that you're organizing and making sure that all happens. I think that skill or that sense of passion that you have for this type of work really can be transferred to any type of entrepreneurship, whether it's private practice or that the idea of sort of looking ahead and thinking, what is it that my audience needs? What does my client need? What does the person that is sending me the money or paying me the money, how can I meet their needs? How can I be of service to them? So I loved hearing how you did that. So that was really helpful. Okay. So I know that there's a lot of experience and adventure involved. What about more practical stuff like software programs, or what types of tools do you use to make yourself successful in these adventures?
Yeah, so a lot of it comes from just the past experience that I have. The software I use is kind of like very simple. I put together Excel spreadsheets.
Oh, Excel, right?
Yeah, so I
Still
have
the
like
best.
for each place, I have an Excel sheet for picking the hotels, picking the culinary activities we're going to do, for picking the non-culinary activities we're going to do. So I just have a lot of Excel spreadsheets so I can start to compare them all. And then, I do work with a local company because I need somebody to take us from point A to B. And so we have that private transportation guide. So I also work with the local companies too, and it takes a long time for me to interview them and decide what company to go with and whatnot. So it's kind of a process, but no fancy software, just a lot of Excel and interviews with tour guides.
I think that's what people want to hear, actually, right?
Yeah.
That is doable, right? Like these amazing careers we can create as dietitians, it's all doable. It's all figure outable. We just need some ideas and inspiration from other people. And speaking of inspiration, maybe you can give some advice to dietitians who want to be successful in their careers, whether it's traditional work or non-traditional work. Like, what do you recommend? What's been your go-to advice for how to be as successful as you are?
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to you have to love what you're doing. You have to really love it because it takes a lot of your time and energy, both physical and mental energy. But I also think it's about being able to look beyond what you want to do and what needs to be done, what people want to see, because sometimes that doesn't quite align. It's kind of like when I think about my travels, I like to have the days we do a lot of things, but I've been trying to incorporate a little more free time, whatever, or options where people can decide to take downtime. Because for me, I can go 15 hours like it's nothing. I'm the first one up, last one to bed, walking around doing things way before anybody is up and after they go to sleep. But I understand that not everybody is like that. So I have to think that through when I plan my trips. And so just like that, a good entrepreneur can know the difference between what they want and maybe what the consumer might want, and find something to work with that.
Chelsea, Thank you so much for sharing all the inside scoop of how you're running this amazing business as a dietitian. I know that I'm speaking for all of the people that are listening as well, that this was really helpful and inspiring. I hope I can travel with you one day. This was really, really exciting. We have lots of different interviews. A lot of them are technical, and this was just a joy to talk about something so interesting that really marries our expertise in nutrition and culture and food, culinary adventures. This was just wonderful. So congratulations on your business. I have, for everybody else, I have all the links down below in the description of how to connect with Chelsea and get on her list of where she's going next, and just connect with her also on LinkedIn. So Chelsea, anything else you want to say?
You can follow some of our journeys and just kind of watch us have fun, and my announcements and things like that going on at tasty.escapes on Instagram.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea, and bye for now.
Bye.